Hi, everyone. We're about to make a start. Sorry for the delay. We've been having some technical problems, but welcome. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Hi, everyone. Thank you for your patience. Sorry for the delay. We've been having some technical issues. So hopefully for those who booked on through our system, you're now able to view it on YouTube, or you're watching it maybe on our event page. Thanks for bearing with us and for joining us now. So it's evening here in London, and my name is Louisa Iliette, and I'm curator of talks and events at the Photographers Gallery. I'm delighted to be here with Angélica Dass. Today we'll hear from the Brazilian-born artist on the topic of color and how it relates to ethnic identity and race in her approach to photography and her wider creative practice. As some of you know, her work combines photography with sociological research and public participation as a tool to assert human rights. So thank you, Angélica, for being with us today. We had a last-minute change in our program, and unfortunately, Cheryl Finley was unable to join us, but stepping in very graciously is Denise Wolf, who is who worked on this project with Angélica and a senior editor of the book program at Aperture. So thank you, Denise. Together, they will look at the intersections between art and advocacy and what role photography has in creating agency. We will also be looking at Angélica's new book, The Colors We Share, and we'll be looking more closely at some of the images here. So thank you both for being with us tonight. In terms of format, we will begin with presentations from Angélica. Following that, she'll be in conversation with Denise, and there'll be opportunity for contributions from you. So I'll be checking the YouTube chat function if you do want to send through any of your comments and feedback that way. So the event should last roughly 45 minutes. Please note we are recording this, so if you do happen to be in the room with us tonight, if you do not wish to be featured, please keep your camera off. And we're approaching this in the same way we do all of our public program, which is with the aim of creating a forum of mutual respect and trust. So before we start, thank you again for joining us, and we hope to see you again at some of our other forthcoming online activities later this month, and even more hopefully at the gallery when we open at the end of June. Thank you all again, and now to Angélica Dass.
Thank you so much for everybody that's here. And sorry for the technical problems that we have that make us delay a little bit. My name is Angélica Dass. I was born and raised in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. And I always describe my family the same way. So I was born in a family full of colors. My father is the son of a maid from whom he inherited an intense dark chocolate tone. He was adopted by those who I know as my grandparents. The matriarch, my grandma, she has a porcelain skin and a cotton-like hair. My grandpa was somewhere between vanilla and strawberry yogurt tone, like my uncle and my cousin. My mother, she has a cinnamon skin, and she's daughter of a native Brazilian with a pinch of hazel and honey. And a man mix of coffee with milk, but with a lot of coffee. She has two sisters, one in a toasted peanut skin, and the other adopted more on the beige side, like a pancake. So growing up in this family, color was never important for me. Outside home, things were different very, very soon. I remember that I never understood why we classify human beings as black, white, associated with the concept of race. And I never forget the day that the teacher got into the school, introduced me a crayon, a pink one, and called this crayon Flash. I was made of flash, but of course I was not pink. My skin was brown. People said I was black. I remember that I have 7 years old and really a mess of colors in my head. With all of this, I create a project that I will share with you now, call it Human Eye. So what I do in Human Eye, I make a portrait in a white background, then I choose a square of 11 pixels from the nose. I paint the background, and I look for the corresponding color in the industrial palette that is called Pantone. And why I use this palette? They have a lot of numbers for the color black. They have a lot of numbers for the color white, and I was not able to find any human being that fits in these colors. And I always speak, why I use this code? It's a language of colors. So if you speak about blue, I don't know if the blue is from of a butterfly, it's the blue of the sea, of the sky. So I'm really sure that I was not able to find nobody that fits in the black and white. So as you can see, this is human eye and really looks like my Christmas dinner. This is a project that starts in this space that is the gallery. And now, if you are in New York, please don't miss this beautiful installation that's inside the American Museum of Natural History. But I really think that the beautiful part of this exhibition is the connection between art and science. In the text in the entrance, you can read eyes, hair, skin. Humans are wonderfully colorful, but skin color has been misused to separate people into races, and attitudes toward the race have long been used to justify discrimination, segregation, and genocide. In fact, people are 99.9% genetically identical. We all share the same ancient ancestors, and we are all one species. And of course, to be in this place that is the gallery and museum, it's amazing, but I have to tell that my favorite place to show this work is exactly in the street, because this happened. You have this group of students search for their own color and suddenly chatting and speaking about who they are. And things like that happen as this man that maybe will not get into the museum, but being in the street makes him part of a global conversation. For me, being in the streets is extremely important, but as we have the pieces within your everyday life in the middle of a street, I really think that's important to be in a place like that. Here is in the World Economic Forum in Davos that our leaders, before enter in the conference room, they have to pass through these pieces. Or for example, here, we are in Quito, in Habitat 3, that's the meeting of United Nations to really think about the future of the cities. And I really think that's important when we are thinking about our future as community, really think about your neighbors, everybody that you have around, that diversity is part every day more of our everyday life. People always ask me how you do the photos, what is the process, the way. This example that I will share with you, it's in Chiasso in Switzerland. It's a small city that's in the border between Italy and Switzerland. During 3 days, we have this studio in the main street that everybody that wants can just passing by, they get into the studio and they can be part of the project. But I have to tell that for me, it's really important to generate the conversation in the cities in different levels. So the classes of Italian, for the ones that are just arriving in the city, they were in my studio. We saw the photos, we discussed about our identity, and then in the end, the ones that want to be part, they were welcome. I have to insist on that point. That was beautiful because these migrants that just arrived in the city, part of them were refugees who have different nationalities as Nigeria, Afghanistan, Syria, Korea. And this is our conversation before the photo shoot. I also invite the people for the residence of elders to have a tea with me. And people like 78 years old. So the ones that sometimes are afraid of what is new in the city. So after the conversation, the tea, the ones that want to be part of the work, they were more than welcome, and some of them join us. I also did workshops with kids of 11 and 12 years old, and the process was exactly the same. So the ones that want to be part of the project, they were more than welcome. So the beautiful thing that happened in this space, as you can see here's the photo shoot, was this piece that was the final result. Piazza del Colori. In this place, you have all these people that live in the same city, but maybe they will never speak with each other. was really an opportunity and a spot for conversation during weeks in the city. So it was really all these people that will never stop to connect with each other, that will pass one through other in the street. They have opportunity to really look at themselves. Now mix it, of course, with people from all over the globe. All the exhibitions, I always do that. When I do photo of locals, half of the pieces, the photos are from locals, and half of the pieces are from the rest of the world. So just to say something in numbers, in Human Eye, I have more than 4,500 images that I did in 20 countries and 36 cities all over the globe. Just to mention some of the cities, also in Addis Ababa in Ethiopia, in Daegu in South Korea, in America, in the North, in the United States, Canada, in Mexico, in the South, Brazil, Argentina, Chile, here in Europe, in different places. And maybe the most important information that you will find in my photos is the lack of information. You don't know who's the poor, who's the rich. And I portrayed in the headquarters of UNESCO, but also in favelas in Rio de Janeiro. You don't know the sexual orientation. You don't know nothing about these people. You know that we all belong to the same species. And as you can see, in these people that has exactly the same color, but of course has a different ethnic background, it's important to highlight that if a race is a social construction, I really think that we can deconstruct it through art. One of the best ways to do that is exactly this moment that I jump from the museum to the classroom. And in our workshops, we replicate or we do a self-portrait inspired by Human Eye. I always start this workshop celebrating the first family of Homo sapiens that migrated for the African continent. We don't know if they were searching for adventures or searching for a better life, but we do know that we are all here because of the first family. So we started this workshop always mixing the yellow and the blue, and we will make a green. Then this green, we will add a red, and we will create a brown. And for this brown with the black and white, we really can create all universe of colors, all colors of skin that exist. So you can see here in New York, in Bed-Stuy New Beginnings, that is a school, how kids are creating their own skin tone inspired by Human Eye. It's a process that for me is important for them to really see that we come from the same material, and yet each one of us is uniquely and different, and that we will pass through the same steps sometimes. As you can see, their pieces of art are much more interested than mine. They were masters in making self-portraits. And you have cases like that I was working in Czech Republic. Was really a beautiful experience with all these 48 teenagers. And even if they are all light skinned, we really recognize that the only thing that is white is the paper that we are painting. We understand that the world is extremely diverse. And the most important thing in this project is that those teenagers were the ones that teach these kids. So we work with a group of teenagers, 48, between 15 and 18 years old, and they were the ones that were able to work with more than 7,500 students between 6 and 12 years old. We always speak about these new generations, know that they will be the ones that will change the world. How we can give tools for them be these change leaders. And I really think that this is one case. And as you can see, when we do these kind of workshops, we really want them to treat their portrait as a human eye. So the goal is really put things outside, invite the community to celebrate their own skin tone, really recognize that there is not one skin color crayon. This is a project that was in Chile with UNESCO and the Minister of Education and Art. And we work with 1,000 schools nationwide. 75,000 students did their self-portrait inspired in human eye with different techniques. So again, how we can give tools to the new generations. And that is the reason why the colors we share, that is the first book of Human Eye. It's a book that is focused in young readers, 5 and up. Our goal is exactly provoke this conversation. Of course, speaking that we never met no person with these colors, that the difference between these guys in the color, you can see that one is full of melanin and the other, as albino, has no melanin. In some way, we are all also teaching how you can mix your colors to be able to create all tones of skin tone from the primary ones. We have a special mirror inside because the idea is make you look at yourself to be able to look at the other and celebrate all these tones as happen in the work. So I really want to invite you all to really understand our past, to now in the present, really try to create a new future with the help of kids all over the globe. So for my part, my presentation is done. I really hope we are able to have a good conversation now.
Well, I'm gonna start us off. And it was just a real pleasure to work with you, Angélica, on this project, and especially almost largely during the pandemic. It was just a real ray of light. And I think when we first started it, we thought it was going to be really easy. I don't know why we thought that. Working on race as a social construction for children was going to be easy, but it took us almost a solid year to put it together and get it to a really smart place. But I know for me personally, I've always heard race as a social construction, and I just kind of internalized that as truth. But when I started looking at your pictures in this project, Human Eye, that's when it really hit home for me exactly where that lived in my own self. And so I thought, like, it is so powerful to see that in the pictures and the project. And I hope that we captured that in the book as well. And I think what it said to me was that these ideas are actually really simple and a child knows it. And it's actually the adults that have problems with it. All we're doing is just reinforcing what the children already know. So I wonder if you can talk about that.
When I have these experiences in schools, that I visit schools all over the globe, it's really impressive for me how, of course, kids don't know that I'm Black. There is someone that have to tell them that I'm Black, that what means be Black. I always speak that discuss or speak about myself as different race as yours is the same that we're speaking now that the earth is flat. I really believe that everybody will say, no, I don't want my kid in this school because the teacher is saying that the earth is flat. But in some way, we accept this, that we speak about the concept of race as something that is real. And this is a work that I started speaking about my family, but I had so many experience with scientists and with science museum that in some way I was like kind of, so you discover the way of speak what we are doing years in genetic, and we were not able to explain so directly as you. I remember that when I was invited to the Leonardo da Vinci Museum in Milan, that is the Science and Technology Museum, the curator said, we as humans, we are a giant encyclopedia, that in the last book, in the last pages, are some letters that were different, that are the ones that make each of one's unique. All this acknowledgement, all these things that I try to do in education, in schools, is exactly this. So how we can add these different layers of art, education, science in the everyday life of these kids.
Yeah, and I think the easy part was kind of poking at the categories and saying, you know, have you ever met anyone who's Black or white? Have you met anyone who's actually those colors? The answer is no. That was easy. You pointed out the category falls apart. You look at the pictures, it falls apart. The harder part was like saying, oh, but this reality, this is a social reality that exists that's based on something that doesn't exist. And so I think that was actually the hardest part of the book. And you can bring in all the scientists you want, but it's kind of like, there's something about the pictures that does that work.
I also insist on the point that race is a social construction, but racism don't exist. Race is a lie, but racism is something that I experiment my everyday life. So the point is that, with the moment, we will be able to really recognize that is a lie, and we will use this as a tool to really end racism.
Yeah. I mean, it's really, hopefully, and I know you talk about this, and maybe you can talk about it a little bit more, that when you're photographing, it's not just, you know, anybody off the street. People are volunteering and they want to be part of this, and you're having a conversation about race, and that's actually part of the picture too, and that's been really healing for you.
Yeah, for me, so I speak even about that when I speak in the TED, that make this work a kind of therapy for me, because when you're in this spot, when you're at this point that you are dehumanized, it's exactly this moment that you feel lonely. And as I do the open calls, and any person can join, and of course the majority is people that sign up and volunteer to be portrayed. I also speak that I need 15 minutes for the photo, 14 is a conversation, and 1 minute to really make the image, because I don't know who will get into the studio. So the big question is why you want to be part of that, why you are interested in give me your image and share your story with me. So the first layer, you will see the photos, but there are 4,572 stories behind that. That is exactly this moment of being vulnerable, share why you want to do that. And sometimes it's because it has a story similar of the one that I have. Sometimes because someone that really want to put themselves in as position themselves as someone that is anti-racist, someone that really want to change the narratives. I have so many kids. You can imagine the amount of families that really think that is a value for their kids being part of these conversations since they are very young. So the process of the people volunteer is very connected with that. I don't know if there is anyone that posts for you and I that is around. You can say hi and we can talk about the experience if there is anyone there.
I know that we were on an event a few months ago, and the two children on the cover, Eleanor and August and their mother, were on, and I was really struck about how emotional that was. The whole process was for them and how much it meant to them. And I know you have a lot of the subjects as your photographs. I know they've told you many things. Do you have any examples?
They were really part of my life, and I always get emotional, you know. So Denise saw me crying during this process a lot. But in this case specifically, maybe Leonore is the kid that I never have. I remember that I arrived to make this photo in Bergen in Norway. And there was a little curly hair with a beautiful caramel skin and green eyes that for the first time she saw someone that was a star of the party that looks like her. And suddenly I have this little girl as my assistant the whole day, as the first one that sits to be portrayed, and as assistant the whole day. For her it was meaningful. Not just the photos, and this is something that I learned, but also myself, my own stories. So this is one of the things that I learned in this process, because being a photographer, sometimes you just think that your images will speak by itself, and my images, they can speak. But when people know this connection and know this story behind, really win a new layer. I always speak that I have families all over the globe because people have very good memories and have a lot of full families that were part of this project. I remember that for the grandma to really the small kids, and all really think about how we can create this new future, how we can position ourselves as someone that will be one of the tools to really provoke a change in our society. But even if the first layer, and I insist on that point, looks like I'm speaking about color, some of the experiences that I have in this studio, they have absolutely nothing about color. I remember an amazing woman that get into the studio, long hair, high heels, and she asked me if I have any transgender in the project, because for her was extremely important be herself in her photo in the way that she see herself. Or so different experiences with families that have kids that are adopted. So think about this colorful family in countries as Spain, that you are someone that's light skinned, Spanish, and you adopt a child from China or Ethiopia. So in so many different ways, these were a place to really generate a conversation about what means being human, how diverse we are. There are two things that we have in common. We all are unique, and we are all members of human species.
Yeah, we're unique and different at the same time.
Exactly.
And I think that the book really touches on that. Since we're talking to a photographer's gallery audience, do you want to talk about the role of photography in this process? Like what is special about photography in starting this conversation, do you think?
I really believe in photography as a tool to really be the starting point of a conversation. The act of making photos for me is the excuse to touch these themes, to really be able to speak about this. I always speak that we have the photo, but sometimes what is the most important things happen before and after. The conversations in the room while people are waiting to be portrayed, and suddenly you have a lot of connections in the city. Is the surprise when you see yourself in these images, is the connection that is created after that, all the reflections that are able to generate. For me, photography is really a powerful tool to educate, because it can educate as we can. I don't know if this is correct in English. I'm sorry if I make something, but to educate in a positive and a negative way. So most of the images that are created from about African descendants, they have the same narrative about different groups in this world. And I remember this edition that I have the lucky to be part of National Geographic, that the editor said sorry about all the stereotypes that this magazine, so important, constructed during years, but what it means being not European. And I really think in this role of photography to really create, construct narratives about this other. So one of the things that is extremely important in human eye is exactly treat everybody the same way. So this thing about you don't know who is in front of you is exactly because of the treatment of really try to connect with everybody from exactly the same point of view. And especially in this case, I listen for different African descendants that, oh, it's just someone that's looking front. It's doing nothing. It's just someone that it's beautiful. It's just looking. So the idea was exactly that. So how we can really be seen all at the same way and at the same time unique and different.
Yeah, it is. It's both tells the truth and gives you all the details, but tells you nothing at the same time. So it is a magical medium that way. But I also think, just playing off what you're saying, that including the Pantone number, I think a lot of people like to focus on that Pantone number, but one of the things that's so brilliant about it is that it takes us out of our kind of charged language into this kind of bloopity bloop way of comparing that also, I think, gets at, it's like deconstructing and reconstructing something else, but without a narrative, I think.
And it's very funny because you can organize it from light to dark numerically, because it's impossible. As I'm a user palette that does from painting, so I see some people in the exhibition have the need to organize things, and of course it's impossible. So and I use this code because we from the world of photography will know what this means. But I have to tell you that I was in Brazil, portraying in a favela, Rio de Janeiro, and the lady that said me, oh, I understand what you're saying. If we cut here, it will be red for everybody. I said, yes. And she recognized that this was something that when I want to paint my house, explaining which color it is. This is the point. So why I use this. So in some way, for us, for the world of photography, you know the brand, and of course, looks like an important anecdote. But really, in the real world, everyday life, a lot of people don't know what this code means, but they understand that I'm speaking about colors. And this is important.
And they can see when they match.
Exactly. And they can see when happen, these things that you know that we love, and we use this a lot in the book. Let me just pause and open this. Because of course they recognize this page. That you have 4 people that has exactly the same color. So I choose the square of 11 pixels of the nose with these 4, and they have exactly the same color. The thing is that we all know that they don't have life experiences that are exactly the same because of the concept of race. So this is also important exactly to do that.
Yes, I think so. I mean, we can go on for a while, but are there any questions?
Questions,
you want to throw any at us? Or I can keep asking.
Yeah, we've had a couple of questions come through, and I'm just keeping an eye on YouTube as well. So for those of you who are on YouTube, just send through your questions there. And for those of you who are on Zoom, you can send it through that platform. But yes, we had a question about a different area, a different project that you worked on. I'm going to mispronounce it, Angélica. It's the 280 Chibatadas. You talk about
zip code.
Can you say it again? Well, anyway, you'll say it later. But you talk about the single history of slavery that's presented, in education, in our schooling, and how we talk about it. Can you talk about how that research into that body of work connects to themes of colorism, and then how you might be picking up the Chibatas project again in future, or how that research will feature in future work?
Okay, I will share my screen with you, so it's better for the ones that don't know. So 280 chibatadas. Chibatada means whips. And what I did in this work, the curator of exhibition called African Americanos, that want to show what means being African descendant in America. He asked me, really, I understand what you're doing with Human Eye, because you said a lot. You were trying to make the oppressor and oppressor that you have inside of you have a conversation, but show me what means really being African descendant in Brazil. And Brazil has really a special story. And I will just show one statistic. For the centennial of the abolition of slavery in 1988, the University of São Paulo carried out a survey in which 96% of those interviewed stated they were not racial, they have no racial prejudice, while 99% said they knew someone who has. Every Brazilian feels like an island of racial democrats surrounded by racists in all sides. So to really show what is the life experience of someone that's African descendant in Brazil, I just showed the images of my family album that were these images. This is the marriage of my parents, but I also did the research in the internet, searching for keywords as Black, I'm not racist, and different ways to really call people Black in Brazil. And I did this research between 2013 and 2019. So what you will find in the internet are sentences like that. I really like Black people. It's a shame that they cannot be brought anymore. And I continue showing how was the life of African descendant in Brazil. As you can see, I have a kind of normal life. My mother dressed me in costume. I'm Christian, so this is the baptism, my mother. But suddenly you see that. Oh, I can read. Oh, let's move this here. I'm not racist. I even have a picture with a Black woman. And you still going, and you can see my everyday life, how I have a lot of these colors around me, my father that wants to play football with me, and brother, I'm smelling like a nigger. Dude, I played too much football today. And all the time in this work was trying to show the experience of being African descendant in Brazil, really sharing my everyday images. This is my mother pregnant of me, and the sentence, I'm not racist, but there are people to whom give a shoot, it's not a bad idea. And we can continue going. I will not do this with you all. You can really see, oh, sorry. You can really see all the images in my web. But I really want to show one thing in the end, that is exactly these 3 photos. I was lucky that my father was in the moment that I was getting out of the belly of my mother in the cesarean. And this is the moment that they opened the belly of my mother, the moment that they are taking me out, and the moment that they put me in her body. And I always insist that I didn't know, but all the sentences, all these tweets that you've seen in this work, they were waiting for me as the experience of being African descendant while I was born. So this work was really an opportunity to really show this other side. And we did different installations with this work that I generally put as a timeline with all the tweeters in the center, surrounded by this cloud of images, and the audience. When I'm seeing people looking at these images, you see the horrible face that they do when they are reading the tweets, and how they were able to really connect a lot of moments with my everyday life. So I really believe in the family album as this place to really create this connection, this empathy. For someone that is born in 1979, I really have a lot of images that were recognizable in your family album. So in this work, the goal was exactly provoke this experience. What means being African descendant in Brazil is horrible, is experience of horror, but also is experience of love, because was exactly what you see in the images of my family.
Using the photographs to disrupt that narrative that's coming over here. The photographs speak against that, I think, in a beautiful way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Did I answer you, Luisa?
Yes, we have another question here. And it's just about how collaboration fits in with your work. So you're able to introduce a lot of different voices and different narratives. So this is specifically in reference to the body of work Vecinas, Yo Soy Dos. So just thinking about that, but I mean, of course, there's so many other lives featured in your other areas. So maybe if you could speak more about collaboration, please.
Okay, for me, this is something that's extremely important, because even I have to tell that 280 Chibatadas is a very lonely project, but I really enjoy to really construct something together. I don't think that my point of view, it's the unity and it's the one valid. So in human eye happen this way. So it's something that just have the power that has now, because it's something that I'm the one that pressed the button, but we are constructing definitely this together, from the education to the photos to all the partners that we have in big and small institutions. We are doing this together. In Vecinas, Yo Soy Somos are two works that I really have the opportunity to work with the different communities of migrants. And Vecinas, that means neighbors, specifically with sub-Saharan migrants here in Spain. I spent 6 months moving to their homes on weekends, and really, in this case, I also use the family album as the point to generate a connection. As the same way that I also do that in Yo Soy Somos. I have to tell that photography for me is a tool, but I really like to use different layers as documents. Both of them also have documents about the grades that they have in the school, documents that were important for them. I use maps, I scan things. So, and all of these works are works that really, they were created collectively. It's a work that I'm the one that is guiding, but all the participants, they really are part of the construction of the project. And this is something that's extremely important for me. When people ask me what is the project that maybe I have more success, that I said maybe Human Eye will be my satisfaction from the Rolling Stones that I will sing every day, and I'm happy to have a satisfaction song. But for example, Vecinas was so powerful for this community, was so important for them be able to express who they are. So they were the first one that each one of the participants received 100 newspapers, because we decided that with the exhibition, but we will do that in newspaper. Each one received 100 that they were able to distribute between their neighbors, because the goal was that with whom I want to speak. I really want to speak in museums, I want to speak in the news, I want to share this story, but how I can give them the tools to really share their own story.
Angélica, this is an aside, but I think I remember you telling me that there's not many people that have family albums, that your album is rare. Did I dream that, or did you tell me that?
No, imagine it. I'm African descendant in Brazil, and Brazil has a different story of US. So it's not easy to have a family album as I have. I really have got the visit of my great-grandfather, that he's, it's very funny because he's the Portuguese of the family. That's not Portuguese because he's the African of the family, because it's the Cabo Verde. Cape Verde. I don't know what's the name in English. What's the name? Cabo Verde? Cape Verde. Oh, how can I say the country in English? Okay, I will see. I will look at that later. But it's an island that was one of the colonies of Portugal, that is in the African continent. And he went to Brazil. This is a part of my family, as someone that has a store, that do business. And this is one part of my family, of someone that is African, that went to Brazil to do business. Of course, I have the other part of the family that are the ones that, of course, I know that are descendants of people that were enslaved. So it's very curious because this guy has a tradition of photography. He likes, so I have to tell, photography, it's something that is luxury. So it's a privilege to have a image like that. And I insist, especially in Brazil. So I have to tell that I have the lucky that in my family, people really enjoy to really make photos, to really register their own life. And that's why I have this amazing, the whole story of my life. I have me, Cape Verde. Thank you, Suzanne. Cape Verde. Okay, I knew that the word, it was not a Cape Green. But was really lucky to have that. And I really think that is one of the things that were important, even in my construction as photography. I have the privilege to have this machine close to me since I was really a baby, and be able to have this technology close to me. I have someone that is really speaking about their everyday life as my father, that never thought that the photos would be in a museum. So the day that I show the exhibition and I sent the first catalog of the exhibition, he was, oh, those are my photos in a book, in a museum. I said, oh, Dad, I do this kind of crazy things. But at this point, it's very important, the privilege that I have, and how in Brazil, there's a few African descendants with this background in history and in their own story.
Well, I feel like we benefited from that magic as well. Your family magic, bringing it to the public, and then expanding your family with Human Eye, and hopefully with this new book, like starting conversations that build that even more. So I love hearing that it all started with this kind of family love of photography. So that's probably a good place to wrap it up.
I don't know, Luisa.
Yeah, no, it is. Thank you both so much. I just shared, by the way, for those who are joining on YouTube, we do have copies of Angélica's new book, The Colors We Share. It's available in our bookshop. And so for those of you who are joining us on YouTube, you can access a special price of 15% off using the voucher code DASS15. So that's uppercase DASS and then 15. And yeah, for those of you in the room, I'll circulate this email to you in thank you email that we will hopefully send later this week. Thank you for your patience also as we work through some of our technical issues this evening. But I want to thank especially our two speakers this evening, Angélica Dass and Denise Wolf. Denise, especially for stepping in at the last moment, and Angélica, for your generosity in sharing your research and also what you're hoping to achieve through your work. To my colleagues, especially Janice McLaren and Grace Armitage, for your support tonight. And to you all for joining us both over Zoom and on YouTube. We really appreciate your ongoing commitment to the gallery, and we wouldn't be able to do what we do without you. So we're really grateful that at a time when we've been unable to open our doors to you, we appreciate being welcomed into your homes. So thank you for spending some time with us tonight. Anyway, I hope you're all okay, and please keep checking our website for updates on forthcoming program, and hopefully we'll see you again soon at the gallery. Thank you all. Thank you, Angélica. Thank you, Denise. And
I just want to finish with a huge thank you for the ones that are there listening. If there is any question that was not answered, please stay in touch. I'm someone that really answers everybody that writes me. AngélicaDass.com. Please stay in touch. Thank you.
That's really nice of you. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and hopefully see you soon.
Bye.